Hey gang, so today's tutorial is all about the concept of caps. Now this is something that we as double staff spinners kind of have inherited from poi spinners. I'm pretty sure the concept existed in double staff before it came to poi, but there wasn't really a name for it per se. It was just kind of switching back and forth between two different things. The idea behind a cap is that essentially there are a number of different what we would call like elementary patterns, or some people like to call them driving styles. You can think of the difference between anti-spin, isolation, in-spin, etc., right? Now, each of these can be thought of as something that is discretely different from the other. Like, there is absolutely no way that you're going to look at an in-spin and think that it is the same thing as an anti-spin, right? Likewise, an isolation is something that looks completely different as well. The idea behind a cap is that you're essentially going to take bits and pieces of these different patterns. Like, say, if I happen to be playing around with an in-spin flower, I know that I have this point and this point in common with an anti-spin flower. So I could use that to my advantage and switch between in-spin and anti-spin. Or the more common approach to doing it is to switch between anti-spin and isolation. The move that we most commonly think of as being a cap from poi is one that involves going back and forth across the same arc, like so, with the staff. So it's only like a half a circle that we're moving across, back and forth between anti-spin and isolation, anti-spin, isolation, right? Now, what happens when you put this together with two hands is you get a series of options. I can either go anti-spin and isolation both at the same time, like so, or I could choose to have one hand do anti-spin while the other hand does isolation, like this, in which case it's more something like a hybrid where I'm always kind of keeping the stabs parallel as they move through this, right? I could also say use this same idea with each staff maintaining its own side of the body. Or I could do this in a more vertical place, or I guess this is more horizontal, like so. Really the possibilities for this are endless, and it's just kind of one of those things that you can use to say, like, break up movement for a second if it's feeling a little bit boring and you want to give the audience something a little bit different to play with, right? It's also a great tool where, you know, for example, if we're playing with the downward pointing one, like so, and we decide that we want to have one go in isolation and the other one go in anti-spin, this is a great way that we can change the alignment of the props. So like, say, at this point right here, I've got both of my thumb ends pointing down, and as I'm switching one into anti-spin and one into isolation, I wind up in an arrangement where I've now switched them up, so I've got a thumb to pinky relationship, which of course we know that we need if we're going to play around with something like, for instance, choo-choos, like so, right? So it's a great tool to be able to switch between those different kind of pinky to thumb arrangements and everything, as well as breaking up some other things as well, if we happen to be a little bit bored with our isolations for a moment. Yeah. And of course, they also lead to more complicated things like S-caps and 8-step caps and things like that. But we will get to those things a little bit down the road. For this week, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you with another tutorial in another 2 weeks. Peace. This video was made possible thanks to the kind contributions of these folks right here. In addition, special thanks to Sean, Prisna, Kiro, as well as Andrew Hammond and Ben Reynolds. Thank you guys so much for making these videos possible. If you've enjoyed these videos or learned anything from them, please consider making a contribution at drexfactory.com/support. Help me to keep on making these videos that you love. Thanks.